Hello, everyone. We're back again with the Author Spotlight, and we are hosted today by yourauthorhub.com. And I'm Cynthia Martin, your host, and I'm an avid book reader and lover of all things books and speaking to authors especially. So here on the Author Spotlight, that's what we do, is talk about books and talk about writing styles and to authors about their process and the book that they have out. So today, our author is Patricia Wilson, and she has a trilogy of books out. And the first one that I saw is called I Am Amazing. Isn't that a fabulous title? And so, welcome, Patricia. Tell us a little bit about who you are and about your books.
Well, I was born in Alberta, northern Alberta, 1948, and spent my childhood in a small town and then went to the city of Edmonton to do my degree in education.
Hmm.
And then I did postgraduate in master's in counseling. And, the biggest events of my life is probably that I had two children that are fantastic. One of them is almost 45 and one is 40. And I really have a passion for children. During my teaching career, I taught from kindergarten to grade 12. So I would be considered a generalist. Um, but I loved them at every age. And it was interesting to see grade 12s, and you could almost imagine them in grade 1. But my passion would be children for sure.
That's really interesting. I love that you have the education background, and I think people who love children a lot of times can be found in the education, in the education sector of life. So you also have a master's degree in counseling, which is really fascinating. I think that maybe lends to the title of a few of your books. Can you tell us about those books, or I can read them off if you'd like?
I didn't complete my master's, so I better
Oh,
get
okay.
that on record, but I did do work on my master's in counseling. I think I did 7 out of the 10 courses. So just so you know.
Yeah.
But
Nope. That's
yeah, for sure. I worked actually as a school counselor for the last 10 years of my career. And I had to deal with a lot of kids who wanted life to be smoother than it was. And given teenage angst, I had a young lady who tried to take her life.
oh, I'm
And
sorry.
she had to come back to school and see the counselor. A very, very highly emotional time.
Mm-hmm.
And during this short interview, I tried to start with getting her to understand that she has to like herself first. And I tried to get this young girl, 13 years old, to say, I like myself. And she literally stormed out of the office.
Yeah.
So it was a failed counseling session. However, that night, I just before sleep, my son phoned, and I'd had my first grandchild, a little girl. She was just weeks old, and my son said, "She's so amazing, Mom. She's
Mm.
so amazing."
Oh,
And my thought was, well, why didn't this other little girl,
yeah.
now 13, why didn't she realize that she was amazing?
Yeah. That's
But
powerful.
I had never really thought of ever writing a children's book. It was I love dabbling in writing, but it was never a children's book. The next morning, I honestly believe I channeled the books because I got up. I didn't even have a coffee, Cynthia. I went
Mm.
to the store, sat down at the computer, and it's like, I am amazing. We are amazing. Life is amazing. Came came in about a 15 to 20-minute period. And it came in, I was at the computer and it was just like, it was more like affirmations.
Yeah.
So when it was done, I was, what was that? I was like, whoa, like it didn't feel like it was my thinking because I don't think I would ever write a book saying, I am amazing. I was always a bit shy that way. But I tried to change the title to You Are Amazing.
Yeah.
And it was very clear no, I had to write, I am amazing. So that was the first one I started writing. The idea came in 2006. I started writing right away, and I didn't get it actually self-published till 2009 because I wrote it out as just affirmations. You know, you always get good info from your friends and family. And he said, that's boring. You have to rhyme it.
Hmm.
So then I rhymed it. And that, as you know, as you're a writer too, you know, so much of it is cutting. Like
Yeah.
you get a stanza, you cut it. You get a stanza, you cut it. Because the book is only 32 pages long.
Right.
And it's got 400 and some words. So you know that you're really limiting yourself to 32 pages and you're trying to cover self-worth. Oh, there's a
Huge.
challenge.
Yeah.
But luckily, a friend came and taught me conscious languaging. And she said that they've shown that if you repeat positive statements in the present tense and you say them over and over with feeling, it becomes part of your self-talk. So using that counsel from my friend, I started writing. And in the little book, I'm going to show it. I hope, can you see it?
Yeah, not right now. You'll need to, apparently your screen is there. Yeah, you're pretty, there you go. There, now I can see it. Yes, perfectly. I
Okay,
can now.
you can see how small it is.
Yep.
It's 6 inches by 6 inches
Mm-hmm.
and is made for little hands. But in that book, I repeat, I can 14 times because kids are so quick to say, I can't do it. And I repeated, I am amazing 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So as you progress through the book, when the young mother's reading it, it's good for her because she's repeating these things over and over. And then when the child becomes reading age, I developed from a primary teaching point of view. So it's got repetition and very, very clear vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
And then the gift that came to me was Tanya Harrington, who was the artist, the illustrator.
Yeah.
It was tough to find an illustrator.
Yeah.
And she had found out from my daughter that I had written a children's book. I tried all my avenues, and she asked me if she could illustrate it. I didn't even know she was an illustrator.
Wow.
And so after a year and a half, she came up and she had little figures with little ponytails and little dresses and pants and running shoes. And she had all the colors covered. And she'd spent a year and a half doing these. And she came to give them her pictures to me. And then she said, can I do it again?
Wow.
And I said, why? And she said, I have an idea. And I said, what? And she said, I want it to be non-gendered. I want it to be no idea of race, color, religion, sex, anything. I want these to be little figures that they're universal figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of had the word munchkins in my mind, but that was taken already. So I call them little soulkins because I believe we all have souls and we're all related essentially. And so she was able to show her amazing gift throughout this book in the artwork. And this one I really love.
You need to turn it down a little again.
Okay, turn it down again.
Yep, there you go.
See that little figure?
That is really sweet.
She's got the most, I mean, so many people pick up the book because of the cover.
Yeah.
And she went on to do We Are Amazing and Life is Amazing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it took 14 years to finish the trilogy.
Wow.
And the trilogy is maybe in total 1,500 words.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with a child's mind, and you would know this,
Mm-hmm.
if you're going to repeat a story over and over, you have to be very careful what the words are that you're using because they're going in through repetition. And so I had to vet every word. And so it took me a very long time. So yeah, that sort of sums that up.
Well, it's impressive. There's so many great things there that you said. Um, I primarily work with adults, and so many in our culture today do not have self-value or self-worth. The biggest thing I work with is in them discovering their uniqueness and how valuable they are. And so that's a message that is ageless, and that um, the repetition and the speaking out of one of those types of affirmations, declarations, I call them, are so valuable, even to an adult, let alone a child. It would be wonderful if we can build this self-value in children and have them be able to grow up through their life with it, rather than to have to wait until they're in their 40s and their 50s and their life has fallen apart and they've never been able to make much of a success because they have such a low they don't understand their own value and they think they're less than. And so when they do anything, it doesn't seem to be very successful, and they're kind of self-sabotage. So I applaud you and your effort for those reasons, that we can the idea of establishing a child's value when they're a child, so that they can grow up and have a much more successful life. I'm sure that there's been studies that show the difference,
Yeah.
but also to take a children's book and use it with an adult, because I do it all the time. It's really powerful, because we as adults, me especially because I'm chatty, I put so many words out there that that aren't needed truly. But if we can condense it down, which was a science for you, a wordsmith, a science to be able to do that, to craft those words that are powerful, understandable, relatable, and rhyming too. Oh my, it's a wonder. And then not only that, but then you had to work with an illustrator, which one of the reasons why I thought that writing for children would be very difficult is to find someone that was compatible with your style to be able to illustrate what you're thinking. And it sounds like you have a perfect match. So
Oh,
that's kind
I'm
of very
so
cool.
lucky. I have three illustrators with the because I wrote a book called My Magical Night Mare
Hmm.
for kids who have nightmares and are being bullied. And she was a
Hmm.
wonderful, wonderful. She is a wonderful artist. And then when Grandma Giggled,
Hmm.
the woman had to do funny faces on animals, and she did a tremendous job. So the gifting of people came to gift me in the process for sure. And one of the biggest gifts was that little gal that came into the office and walked out had a child
Hmm.
about 5 years later, and one of one of the students I knew that knew her, I gave her a book and got it to her. So she was reading that book when her little girl was born.
Yeah.
And you know, if one child feels more self-worth, you're right when you say the 0 to 7, you catch them early and they stay. Like if you can sort of wire them for
Mhm.
self-worth,
Yeah.
that's the starting point. It's not narcissism, it's
No.
self-worth. It's an understanding of your value in the world. And so many of the kids nowadays, anxiety and depression are off the charts.
Yeah.
And somehow they need to know who they are, and they're amazing.
Yeah. And I celebrate the uniqueness of each one of us because we're also unique, and to recognize our differences and how valuable we are as being different, rather than trying to lump us all in the same. And I think that, as in our society today, unfortunately, I believe that should have, and we can do should haves, happened in our home with, loving parents feeding into our value and telling us that we're valuable, not making us not responsible for the outcomes of the choices we make, because that also happens. But it's just really instilling that we're a valuable person. If that would happen at home, then we wouldn't have to. It's always great to do the added, but we're at this point in culture, we're the first voice they hear sometimes, that they have value, and that's really sad. I think it's a really sad picture of our society today.
It is. And what you said earlier about that you work with
Mhm.
children, they're not 50 and 60 or whatever,
Exactly.
but they have that inner child in them.
Mhm.
And the woman who decided to put on another gift, uh, the coming out party of the book,
Mhm.
she took them for her uh, mentally interesting clients, the ones that really,
Mhm.
really suffered from a lack
Yeah.
of any sense of who they were, their self-esteem. And she found them very useful. In fact, my mom was 93 when I wrote this book, and she enjoyed reading, even to the point that she edited my poem. So there's a poem at like towards the last of the book. I wrote this poem called "I'm Happy Being Me,"
Mm.
and I said, "I love my nose." No, I love my nose. I love my eyes. I love my color, shape, and size.
Mm.
And my mother said,
So
"No,
good.
no." She said, "I love my eyes. I love my nose. I love myself right down to my toes. I love who I am. I am happy to be.
Mm.
I'm thankful for all the gifts inside me." And
Wow,
so,
that's powerful.
so even at 93, there is actually a stanza that maybe I've printed so many copies of I Am Amazing. I think I've got about 15 or 16,000 printed. So, but if I were to change it, it would be right before that poem. It says, "Whether I'm older or only two, there are so many things I can do." And I think I should have written, "Whether I'm younger or 102,
Mhm.
there are so many things I could do." Because some kids think that it's too too childish or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean. But
No, I
true,
get it. I do. I have some children's books that I read at Christmas time. And when people come to me, because I do a lot of pastoral type counseling and that sort of thing, recommend that there's several children's books that I recommend, because they're no fluff and they're straight to the point, and they make you smile. And just hearing the words of your book are exactly. I even go is working with people that are deeply don't have any self-love or self-value. I work with them about forgiving themselves for not lead they hold themselves to an expectation that's not realistic, and forgiving themselves for not being perfect and have made mistakes, and letting themselves go and allowing themselves to be who they are. And I even carry mirrors with me, and I have them look into the mirror and forgive themselves and receive their value. And it's really powerful. We don't really see, when you look around in humanity, we don't see all of the woundings. Like a broken leg, we can see, but self-worth you can't see until people do self-destructive behaviors, or they don't. I don't like to measure people, but when there's no success in someone's life, there's something else going on, right? We should be able to go to work and perform our jobs, and we should be able to have healthy relationships, and those kinds of things are kind of markers that we know that we're okay. Not completely. I don't like to put markers on people, but you understand what I'm saying.
I do.
And so being able to do, speak into a child when they're, the age before they're 7, can totally change the trajectory of their life. And not only that, those who didn't get it, you can take this kind of a thing and change the trajectory of their life, because it's so pointed and it's powerful. I mean, just think about the words. I mean, you wrote them. I smiled when I saw the title of your book. I am amazing. You know, you cannot say that without smiling. You just can't. And
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's fabulous.
Thank you.
And it's a real clincher to see people who struggle with the title, would struggle with the title, and to think of it of themselves. So I think it's dead on. Not that you needed my vote, but you've got it.
Thank you, Cynthia. I value your vote. And you know, it's interesting how I always listen to critiques.
Mhm.
And one primary teacher said, "Are you trying to create a whole society of narcissists, you
Mm,
know, by saying, I am amazing, I can, I can." And I
mhm.
said, well, did you read the last 14 words?
Yeah,
And she hadn't.
yeah,
Because after the little poem, I said, I will remember my whole life through. I am amazing, and so are you.
yeah.
So it's the understanding to look for the amazing in the other.
Right.
Yet when you find yours, you understand self-worth, self-regard, self-value, all those things. And then you look for that in the other,
Right.
and to find the parts of them that you can sort of support as amazing.
Agreed. I think that for me, when you think about the narcissistic behavior, they have no concern about anyone else. It's all about them. And you have to have a healthy regard about who you are, but also understanding that other people are
Yeah.
valuable as well. Narcissist, from my understanding, and I'm not a psychologist, but it's all about them, and they have no ability to have empathy for anyone else. It's all about give me accolades. And when it was prevalent for quite a while. I have a lot of friends who are children's teachers, and they had problems with that when parents would come in and say, well, he doesn't want to do his work, we don't make him do whatever he doesn't want to do. And you're like, well, that's going to be a problem in life. You have to get in line, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that is out there as well. But it's not a healthy self-esteem, because life is not going to work for them, because life is not going to bow down to them as they grow older. And so, or make a way for them because they don't feel like they want to, so I don't see that your book has anything even near that. It's not like yeah, saying I'm better than everyone else. That's a different story. And I didn't hear that in any of your information. So I love it. So would you like to read some of your book to us, or share that book or any of your other books, or anything
Well, yeah,
about
I
the
might as
writing
well,
process?
because they came as a trilogy, maybe I'll talk to you about what the sequencing was. So the
Okay,
first
yeah, absolutely.
book in the
Totally
I'm
interested.
Amazing, yeah, the I Am Amazing sort of was based on that understanding that self-worth is the base. And then at the very end, it was to move to the other. The next one I wrote was We Are Amazing, but this wasn't, I didn't write actually the second in the trilogy for 7 years, I think it was. Partly because I got jaded. I was listening to the news and watching. I thought, well, how are we amazing? Like, um, but I'm sure you read Guideposts. Did you read Guideposts or hear of that little magazine called, it's a
Mhm,
Christian magazine?
mhm,
And I thought, well, I'll use that.
mhm.
And so I wrote, We Are Amazing. It's our essence at birth, the treasure within us through our time on earth. Like parts of a puzzle, we all have a place, unique as a snowflake or star up in space,
Yeah.
and so on. And then I went into the, you know, we can do so many things. Like um, we have so many. We are amazing. Proof is easy to find. Consider the wonders of our hearts and our minds, like never give upness and courage and caring, all those things. And then it went to the end to we share the third planet that circles the sun. All life on earth is created as one. Wherever we travel, wherever we go, this is our place. Earth is our home. And then it went to we we can work together. And the last words of this book are We can choose love and peace. We can change the world's story.
Yeah.
As we celebrate life in all of its glory.
Yeah.
And life is amazing. And this book was, okay, so I'm amazing is it's okay, I'm understanding me and I can do things. And I'm going to focus on the things I can do, because so often little jiggers, they focus on what they can't do. So to get them to see that I am amazing, that we are amazing, is to understand that we work together as a cooperative society, and that we all have different gifts, and that together we need each other to sort of move forward in the world. Then life is amazing, I wrote during COVID, which was interesting because I had it half written and I probably changed 50 out of the probably over a quarter of the words. And life is amazing is at first I was going to write about, a butterfly going in a cocoon and turning into the little caterpillar turning into a butterfly, and the fact that life, it's the stars and oceans and all those things. But you could imagine how long that book would be.
Yeah.
And so I was writing stanzas and stanzas and stanzas about how life is amazing. And then I realized that I had to go narrow and deep. And so I decided to say, life is amazing. It gives us a chance to be who we are as we join in this dance.
Wow.
We have minds that think and hearts that feel and bodies that move us. Life is the real deal.
Yeah.
So what's it about, this amazing life? It's about love and hurt.
Yeah.
It's about peace and strife. Never one thing. Life has it all. And we get to be here and right now. And then at the very end, I go to life offers us choice. This may be the key. We can choose how to act and decide who to be. As paths stretch before us, we choose those we take, and our characters form through the decisions we make. We can be heroes in the stories we write. We can grow strength and courage to shine forth our light. We are amazing. We can be amazing. It's our choice.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, exactly. There was that line. I can't remember actually at the time. I thought, oh wow, that's really powerful about the choice, that we have a choice. And at first, when you said you wrote this during COVID, I thought, oh wow, bummer, that'd be tough. But really, what a better time to think about the meaning of life when we were facing, what we faced in COVID, and the outcome is spectacular for sure. And looking at the trilogy, there's no way that someone can say that, well, somebody can say whatever they want,
Of
but
course.
the outcome, that you're pointing towards narcissism. That's like, beating someone in the head so they make sure they don't grow too tall. It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's like, no, you want them to grow and be healthy. Yeah.
And I
So,
wanted, because I dealt with so many suicidal kids, and because I
yeah,
see so many kids using drugs and so many
yeah.
people with no purpose or joy or sense of
Hmm.
awe or religious understanding. I just wanted, so at the very end of that one, I said, we can be amazing. It's our choice every day.
Yeah.
We can make the world better in our own unique way. And then I finished with gratitude. I said, let's give back to life, showing thanks for this chance.
Yeah.
Thanks for it all. Thanks for the dance. Life is amazing. Because I think that if I don't know, they seem to get a sense, some little people get a sense of entitlement. I don't know really how it comes by. I think social media is affecting things, but they seem to think if they don't have this, they aren't happy.
Yeah.
And this little book was changed because I knew that people had lost family
Mhm.
members. People had met the biggest challenges of their life, the lockdown and
Yeah.
masking up and not playing and all the division. And I didn't want it to be fluffy, if you know what I mean, Cynthia.
Oh, yeah, I do. Exactly. Yeah.
So I published that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, spectacular. I love them all. So you talked about I'm amazing, we're amazing, life is amazing. This is the three-part trilogy. Will there be more to that trilogy, or do you think you're done with that one?
I'm done with that trilogy. I think that I was, yeah, I'm satisfied
Yep.
with.
Well,
I think that it's complete as a trilogy.
yeah. I think authors know when they're done, when no,
Yeah.
it's gotta turn the page and go somewhere else. And so then My Magical Nightmare and When Grandma Giggles, did how did they come about? Were they in the midst of this or after this trilogy? How did they come about?
Well, actually, my granddaughters, my grandkids are the muses for my books.
Oh, of course.
So when my eldest granddaughter was 6, she was having nightmares.
Mm.
And I had read a psychology book, magazine, oh gosh, decades before she was born. And it said, never, if you have a nightmare, and this applies to us, even as adults, if you have a nightmare, do not go back, don't get up and get dressed and go for the day. If you have a nightmare, go back into a relaxed state and make up a different ending. Some people are visual; they can actually see it. Others just think it. But the the suggestion, which I thought was quite brilliant, was that we should create an ending where we feel more powerful. So this book, so I told this to my granddaughter, and we went to sleep. And the next morning, I said, "Did you have a nightmare?" And she said, "No." But grandma's horse was right beside me when I woke up. Her other grandma's.
Mhm.
And so I just did a play on the word, a night
Mhm.
mare.
Mhm.
And I created this horse who comes to children when they have a bad dream and teaches them how to change the dream. And so then it's actually like teaching lucid dreamings
Mhm.
because you use your senses to get into the lucid dream.
Right.
I see. I s- before here's how I've learned to call her. I make pictures with my thoughts.
Mm.
I imagine how I feel with her, and I practice lots and lots. I see her standing by me. My fingers brush her sides. I smell her warmth. I hear her neigh, and I feel safe inside. And this little muse, I when I read the book to my granddaughter, she said, "No, no, Grandma, it's not," because I had written, "I feel brave inside." She said, "Oh no, Grandma, I feel safe inside."
Wow.
I know. And then later on, when I feel sad and call her, and when I feel sad, I had written, I've got so many books. When I feel sad and start to cry, I imagine her warm hug and feel my troubles melt away. I snuggle like see this art? I don't know if you can
That's
see.
beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Anyway, she she said, "No, Grandma, it's not I feel sad, it's I feel hurt."
Mm.
And so I had a 5 to 7 year old who was editing the content of the books.
But
You know,
that's one thing I appreciate about his children is they're very in touch. They don't try to guard,
no,
they're
no.
vulnerable. And so they'll tell you if they feel safe, they will tell you what they're feeling. And so that's so wonderful that she felt safe enough. And she has at that point already put up walls to try to protect herself, which is so great. So at what did this come after the other three books or in what order?
Okay, I wrote I Am Amazing. Then 5 years later, I wrote My Magical Night Mare.
Okay.
And then Emma came along, my second granddaughter, and we wrote Grandma Giggled just because we watched a corny TV show and it was just a spectacularly fun. And I was able to procrastinate on We Are Amazing. And then I got to We Are Amazing. And then 5 years later, Life is Amazing. And then I actually made a cover
Mm.
and I put the 3 books inside it
Oh, that's nice.
as the
Ah,
trilogy. So yeah, and
yeah.
now
So what was the difference between writing a humorous book or a funny book in comparison to the other, which are, I mean, I know funny is heartfelt as well, but the others are really striking in at a very deep truths. So when Grandma Giggles more lighthearted, you talked about it being humorous.
whoa, yeah, it's all about laughter. And
Mhm.
from an English teacher's point of view, it's synonyms.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you go from smiling to losing it,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So it's just a book of laughter.
Yeah. So
So
was that harder for you to write or
for
not?
me,
Was
that
that
book
harder for you to write or not? No?
that one took 20 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, in the essence,
authors everywhere are screaming.
no, 20 minutes. But then of course I did. I decided to alliterate it. So Smiley Slug was in
Mhm.
every picture, and Happy Horse and Luscious Lion. So I did alliteration.
Yeah.
But basically the
The
storyline
storyline.
is so
Mhm.
simple. Whereas with the trilogy, it's a spiritual set. I would say it's the first
Yeah.
spiritual trilogy for a child. And I don't see anything like it out there right now.
Yeah.
So, like, it is really designed for educators or Sunday school teachers or people who are working with children. Like, it's not about a little puppy dog or a little
Yeah.
mouse or a little bear. It's it's sort of something that you want to talk with your child about
Yeah.
and say, and interrupt and say, and what are your gifts?
Yeah.
Or what can you do?
Yeah.
And you want to, when I taught it, I was working as a school counselor, and the grade 5 teacher took I Am Amazing and developed a whole series of lessons around it, just with a grade 5 class, where they
Yeah.
got to show their talents and gifts and so on. And
What a
then
great
someone
idea.
said, well, why don't you write a teacher's manual? And I said, because every teacher I've met is creative. And
And they have their own swing. Exactly.
yeah, so why would I limit them by saying this is how you do it?
Mhm.
They can do tremendous things with
Mhm.
the same stimulus, right?
Wow. That's really fabulous. So, Patricia, we're about out of time. We've run over a bit, but I've so enjoyed talking to you. I love this trilogy. I just really do. I'm going to probably put it on my recommended book list. So, I appreciate you coming and talking with me today. Is there anything that I've missed that you'd like to tell us about your books?
No, I finally got them on Amazon,
Yeah.
Amazon.ca because it's Canadian. And I do have a website that I sell them from.
Okay.
But mostly I've been selling them to schools and stuff like that.
Wow. That's one of the things that I usually mention when I talk to authors is that when we get done with our books, we think, but really that's just the beginning of the race because now we have to promote. And it doesn't matter whether you're self-publishing or if you go through a publishing house, they don't promote your books either.
I know. Yeah.
They don't. And so if you're going to get them out there, you have to do the hustle yourself. So
Yeah.
my hats off to you to think to sell these at schools. What a great idea. So yeah, I love it. So anyway, we're going to have to close out today and we're out of time, but I have so enjoyed talking to you. I hope that you've enjoyed talking to me
I
as
certainly
well.
have. Yeah.
And I want to thank you for coming and being a guest on the Author Spotlight. And we want to thank our sponsor, yourauthorhub.com, for helping make this podcast happen. So before we close, remember to grab these books. You can get them on Amazon. I looked them up. We don't have to go to Amazon, we can get to Amazon.com and put in I'm amazing and we're amazing and life is amazing and My Magical Nightmare and When Grandma Giggles. You can run over there and grab those books. I would get the 3 for sure. And just really, I think these would be a blessing to you as an adult, or if you have grandchildren or children alike. As I said, I am amazing, makes you smile, right? It's a good thing to do. So I want to encourage you to run over there and grab that book and bless her with the purchase. It's always great to sell a book. So we want to tell all of you out there that are with us this week on the Author Spotlight, thank you for watching. We do thank you, and we do enjoy having you on the podcast. And we'll see you next time on the Author Spotlight. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Cynthia.
You're welcome.